What up? We're two cool dudes. Just kidding. Okay, so I'm forcing myself to make this video because I want to do it, but if I say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it the next day, I'll never do it. So I'm forcing myself to do it right now. I look like shit. He just showered, but he looks like shit. But anyways, what we're gonna do is he doesn't even know we're making a video. We're gonna talk about our experience in the haunted forest in Romania.
Okay.
Because last night we were laying around watching TV and I had some shows saved on the DVR, and one that I had saved is called Haunted Case Files, and it says an investigator's dream trip to Transylvania turns into a nightmare when she enters a haunted forest. So we watched that because we're paranormal investigators, not like full time, but we're paranormal investigators, and we had a dream trip to Transylvania and we went in a haunted forest. So of course we want to watch that show to see what it's all about and compare our story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was fun. But okay, so I really want to make this video because I think our story is way better than the one that we saw on TV, and that was jokey, and ours is actually cool. But we've not told anyone our stories about our trip to Romania. We haven't talked about it like at all. And I don't know if it's just because I feel like nobody cares, or I don't even like hearing people tell stories. I feel like it's annoying to hear people tell stories. They embellish them and just like talking about yourself, blah blah blah. So I don't really talk about myself a lot, but I want to sit down and talk about that experience because it was cool, and somebody on TV is talking about their experience, and mine's better, so we should talk about it. Okay.
But also, there were similarities.
Yes, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Okay, so for starters, whenever you watch a show on Travel Channel or whatever, and it has to do with Romania, there's a lot of them. They always show Romania, and it's like fog and mist and tall mountains and trees and like creepy stuff, which there are things like that in Romania, but that's not what it's like in the haunted forest. The haunted forest is in the middle of a city, and it's a really small forest, and it wasn't misty, and it wasn't mystical to get there or anything like that. We spent the whole entire trip exhausted. I was exhausted the entire time because the way I set it up, I would drive all day long. We'd get to a destination, we'd have a little bit of time to explore it, and we'd end up going to bed and then exploring it the next day before driving to the next destination. So the haunted forest was like the second to last thing that we did. So we had already done so much, already driven like over 1,000 miles, and I was utterly exhausted. And the trip there was like 5 hours. It was a big drive, and we pulled into the city when the sun was setting, and it was like we have to go and do this now because if we don't go do it now, then we're only going to go in the morning, and that's not cool. So we pulled into the city. You okay?
Yeah.
City's called Cluj, and it's actually a really big city, bigger than I imagined it would be. Are you sure you're comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how was Cluj to you? What was your impression of that city?
Well, it felt like it was like far away from everything else,
Yes,
and kind of like secluded feeling. And it was
but
like
big.
it was big. Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of people. And another thing about Romania, aside from the mistiness and the supernatural stuff, all the stuff that you see on TV, I didn't think that's how Romania was. It was very rustic, and it was mysterious, but it wasn't like it's not a creepy place. I wasn't creeped out for 99% of the time. But when I was reading on like things to do in Romania, things to see, one thing that I read that I remembered verbatim was don't sleep on the Romanian people. Like get to know Romanians. They're really cool, and they'll be super nice to you, and they'll treat you super good. My experience is that Romanians are not very nice, and they were quite intimidating and rude, and I don't think they liked us. And we were already like 5 days into just kind of like harsh treatment. So we're kind of sticking to ourselves, and we're generally avoiding people. So we're exhausted and we don't want to see anyone, and we're kind of scared of things because it's been a hard trip thus far. So to find the forest, and I have friends that are from Romania, and that hi Vlad, he hooked me up with someone who lives in the city that we were in. But I didn't make any contact with that person. We had no idea what we were doing. It's literally two people with a car and Google Maps, just going, okay, well, just type in the name of the forest into the GPS and just go and try to find it. So we had no idea what we were doing. It's nighttime, really good sunset, awesome. We're driving there and we pull off the freeway and it's like in an industrial area. And it looks sketchy as shit, I would say. Sketchy. Run down, sketchy, scary. Not only that, there's wild dogs everywhere at all times. So we pull into this industrial complex. It's going off into a dirt road, and we follow this dirt road, and it goes past like houses. And on it, just imagine every house that you see has a scary looking person sitting on the balcony, and they're just like they're looking at you, and they know what you're gonna do. They know people are trying to go to that forest. They have scary dogs. They're barking. Wild dogs. It's just the tone is it's not inviting to start with. And I don't know if that has something to do with why people are so scared of the place. Maybe foreigners are scared of it because it's an intimidating area. Anyway, so then the dirt road gets worse and worse and worse, and the car is like trying to find the dirt road, not the dirt, trying to find the forest, going down the dirt road, and we drive around and we get lost, of course, and then we're bitching at each other. Let's go this way, go this way. We don't know where to go. Finally, we pull our car through it's like a field, like a farming field with houses, like no, not houses, but like a couple of houses and people there. And Randy's all, the person's looking at us. They're looking at us. They're looking out their window at us. So we feel like we're being watched as we pull our car, our little rental car, into this forest patch and like behind some trees. So we park the car. We don't know if we're exactly in the right spot, but we see trees and we see forest and we see on the GPS that this is supposed to be the place. So we get out of the car and we start walking around. There's a couple trails. One trail goes like into the woods. And then if you look at the map, there's another trail that goes like through a field, and that goes around the back of what you're trying to get to when you go to the haunted forest, which I don't want to say the name because I've heard it pronounced like 5,000 different ways. Hoia Baicu, Hoia Baca, and last night on TV it was Hoia Bashu. So nobody knows how to say this shit, so we're just gonna call it the haunted forest. But it's Hoia, I think it's Hoia Baicu Forest. Right? Okay. So first, Randy carries me on his back through the field while people stare at us that don't like us because we're American, I think. And we walk that way, but we decide that it doesn't quite look right. So we walk back through the field, back up to where our car is like hiding behind some trees, and we decide we'll just take this trail. And it's like this kind of muddy, jagged, shitty looking trail that just goes into trees. And we're just, okay, we'll just walk on this trail then. So that's what we did. We started walking through the trail. It's getting darker and darker. There's maybe bugs chirping. I don't know. There's definitely dogs barking. For sure. And you can talk whenever you want, by the way.
No.
Okay, so we walk up on this trail, and the whole time I'm like looking on my phone and trying to find this bald patch where there's no growth. That's basically the goal when you go there, is you want to find this scary, barren circle within the forest, right? And that's where all the scary stuff is supposed to happen. I can show you on my Google Maps, you, whoever you are. I just pulled it up. Okay. So here's the forest, and this is like what we're looking at while we're trying to find it too. That looks shitty. But if you see that this little white spot is where we're trying to get. And we probably parked our car, I remember it vividly, probably like here, and then walked up this trail here trying to find that. So that's what we're doing. We walk up it. It's getting darker and darker and darker, and we're just trudging on through woods. And it's not misty, it's not creepy, it's not scary. It's like many forests I've seen here in the U.S. could be ours. It didn't seem different than any other place that I'd been. The only thing I was scared of is that it was getting dark, and we had been paranoid that people were watching us. He mostly was paranoid that people were watching us, and maybe there would be robbers or drug addicts or scary people or people that would want to do harm to us, not paranormal things. That was his main fear. Was he wasn't scared of ghosts or anything. He was scared of people screwing with us. I was about to say fucking with us. His parents will watch this. Okay, so we walk and we walk and we walk. What? We walk and we walk and we walk, and then I look on the map and I'm like, okay, well the bald spot, it's to the left, and we look to the left and there's just trees everywhere. So then we just cut through, and we just start cutting through the plants and the trees, and I'm like, I'm gonna get ticks, I'm gonna get Lyme disease, I'm gonna die, I'm itching, it's hot, I'm tired. Are we gonna find the shit? We can't find it. We keep walking. We keep walking. Finally, I think we came to like a stump, like a tree stump, but not a clearing. Nothing like we saw on TV. They showed it last night. Those chicks on TV found it. We never found it. We walked around looking everywhere for the bald spot. We never found the bald spot. So enough time passes that I tell Randy, I think that we should get out of the forest before the sun sets. And then Randy says, looks like the sun already set. And I said,
it did. It got
no,
dark
it
really
didn't.
fast.
I can still see some light. There's still some light. So while there's still like this little bit of light, we should get out of here, because I'm just kind of freaked out in general. I don't know, just kind of my senses are heightened. I'm on the defense because I'm scared, and I know that this is supposed to be a super scary haunted place. And I'm expecting something weird to happen. You know that feeling that you get. And I don't know if that's part of, you already go in there with that feeling. So you can't be objective about it because you've heard so much about it. Supposedly the most haunted forest in the world. Okay, so what we do is we eventually give up on finding the bald spot, and hi Nico. Nico brought me a present. We turn back and we start walking the other direction. And that's when shit gets weird, because as we're walking back, we come to a point where the trail splits. That I did not see it split before. We walked up that path, and we just walked up the path, and it was like nothing. But then we turned around and we walked back the same way, and now there's two paths. And then this is the moment when everything went wrong. Was, which one do we go on?
Right.
I say, oh, it's probably this one, and he said, well, it's probably this one, and we don't know which one to pick. I think we went to the left. I don't know where we left. I don't know where we went, but I think we went to the left. We must have needed to go to the right. I don't know, but this fork in the road appeared that we did not remember going. Because if there was a fork in the road, we would have remembered, like, oh, hey, we went this way. Anyways, fork in the road, we have to go some direction, and we go to the left. And one other thing that we're trying to find besides the bald spot are these trees that there's pictures, and if you Google it, trees are supposed to grow in a weird way here because there's like a magnetic field, or because of the paranormal activity or the ghosts or whatever. There's weird tree formations, and they're supposedly really creepy and cool and awesome, and like they grow like inwards or outwards, or like they just grow wrong and they don't look normal. So we were looking for those aside from the bald spot. So we walked down this trail that we decided, okay, we'll go left. And as we're walking, dreading the moment where we both have to admit that we don't recognize anything that we see around us, and now we're lost. Okay, that's the first thing that is supposed to happen when you go in the haunted forest, is people get lost. We took every precaution necessary to make sure that we didn't get lost. We went on one single thing. There's no way for us to get lost. It was like clean cut, in, out, one trail. Should have been nothing, right? Suddenly, we are shit-ass lost completely. We have no idea where we are. We've never seen any of this shit before, and it goes on forever, and it's dark. And we're in the most haunted forest in the world, and it's dark, and we're lost. So we just keep walking, and this is when I feel things went even more weird. As we're walking, now that I look back on it, I feel like I was in a trance, or I was having some sort of out-of-body experience, because it all happened so fast and it seemed like such a blur. We're walking and we're walking and we're walking, and I'm scared and I'm starting to panic, and I'm probably breathing heavily, so that's probably why it feels like I wasn't in my right mind, because I probably wasn't. But I just remember as we're walking, I look up and I see the trees, the weird, creepy, scary trees, and they're amazing, like big canopy of trees just like that. And as I look up and I see them, Randy says, hey, look, there's those creepy trees. And it was like, as soon as that happened, we heard a noise right behind us, and it sounded like a foot stomping in sticks.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
no, it was like a perfect stick breaking sound. And then at that point, me and Randy both stopped and we looked at each other and we were like, shh, don't move. What the fuck was that? And we're standing there and we don't know what the fuck it is. And next thing I know, Randy says, go that way. So I say, okay, because he's my man and I listen to what he says and I trust what he says. And I think that there's something over there because I heard the ground
I
move.
heard something too. Yeah.
Something stepped over there to make such a loud noise that it sounded like footsteps. And I panicked and he said, run that way. So I said, fine. So I ran that way. Next thing I know, he and I are both running in it's pitch black, completely pitch black, and we're just running through the most haunted forest in the world with no fucking clue where we are. There's no trail. Now there's no trail. Now we don't have mud on the floor. It's just trees. Trees everywhere, trees.
Yeah.
Trees everywhere. And we run and we run and we run. And I think eventually we see a light in the distance. And I'm like, we're just going to run towards that light. Because if there's a light, then that's how we're going to get back to civilization. So we run, and then I fall down a giant hill. And at the bottom of the hill, there's water. And we jump over it, and I get tangled up in these bushes, and there's like burrs all over me, and I'm cut, and I'm sliced, and I'm torn, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And we like fall into this street that is completely opposite of where we were.
Yeah.
It's like a dead end and it's like a power plant or some weird type of industrial setting that we weren't in before. And Randy and I, then we fight about how we're supposed to get back to the car. And I say we're supposed to go this way and he says this way. And then eventually we would just walk down the street and we find where we were. And it's like really far away. And we have to walk by all these people's houses and dogs try to attack us. And at this point, I'm just so exhausted and tired and freaked out. And I just want to get the hell out of there. And I'm starving. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. That was cool. Now we have a cool story to tell our friends. We got lost in the forest. It was scary. Things were watching us. I went to a trance. I saw scary trees. Mission accomplished. We came here to get scared, I suppose. So we did. And now we leave. We eventually find the car. We get in the car. We go to McDonald's because it's the only thing open. And then eat our hearts out and go back to the hotel and go to sleep. That's when things get even more weird. And this is the main reason why I wanted to why I wanted to make the video is because I noticed so many similarities between our story and the people on TV. Just maybe I tell stories better, or maybe I'm just salty towards those chicks. I don't know why. But we noticed that we got lost, and on the TV show, they also said that they heard footsteps behind them, which sounded like leaves crackling and sticks breaking, which is exactly what we heard. And then the next part is we're in the hotel and we're asleep. I don't know what time it is because I'm asleep, but I wake up out of a complete dead sleep. And I do this all the time at home, so it's not that shocking, but it didn't happen the whole entire trip. So it was new for being on vacation somewhere not familiar to me. I woke up just completely aware that there was something in the room. I could feel the presence of something in the room. And I'm laying there alone and Randy's sleeping. And I lay there as long as I can and I listen to the silence and the creepy noises as long as I can before I eventually wake him up because I'm so scared. Side note, we were the only people staying in our hotel. And I don't know why that's so weird to
That was
us
odd.
now.
Yeah.
It's just weird because that's the only hotel we stayed at where we were literally the only guests. So we're completely alone in this weird ass hotel in this very far away city. Like it's like 6 hours away from the airport that we're supposed to fly out of 2 days from now. So we just feel very separated from reality. Anyways, I lay there and I'm scared and I eventually wake him up because I say, babe, I'm scared. And, hold me and do man things and make me feel not scared. But he's really bad at that. So he immediately just falls right back asleep. So I'm laying there more just feeling freaked out and I don't know why. And I'm so tired. I'm so tired. You don't know how tired I am. I'm just so, like, all I want to do is sleep. I don't want to lay awake and look at the ceiling. I don't want to be conscious right now. I want to be asleep, but I can't because I'm scared. Full blown scared. And as I'm laying there, this is what I hear. Just as loud as can be, a knock on some piece of furniture, some sort of wall. I don't know what it was. It was a loud knock. And I said, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you hear that? And he's like, yeah, it's probably nothing. Probably someone else staying in the hotel. I'm like, there's nobody else staying in the hotel. So I don't know what that was. And that persists. And then I
Yeah.
go pee.
After that, I felt like I could never really sleep because it was like a constant tap.
There would be repeated tappings in the room. But then I get up and I go pee, I think. And then I come back and Randy goes, "Huh? What do you want?" And I said, what are you talking about?" And he said, "You just whispered my name in your ear."
In my ear.
What did I
What?
whisper in your ear?
I don't remember. I just remember. I think I can't remember. It was just, but you was talking in my ear.
Well,
A whisper.
I was standing at the bed looking at him sleeping because I'm getting back in bed after going pee, and he says, "What are you saying? What are you saying in my ear?" I'm like, "I didn't say shit in your ear. I'm looking right at you. I couldn't whisper in your ear even if I wanted to." Okay, so eventually I'm just so tired that I guess I just pass out because I'm just exhausted to the core. And I proceed to go into the strongest astral projection experience that I've ever had in my life. And I've spent years practicing trying to astral project. I'm very into the idea. I'm very into metaphysical things. I don't discuss that with people, but I do things so that I can try to connect with the other side. I want to be more psychic. I want to experience the other side. So I try to astral travel, astral project, all that stuff. It's very hard to do, and I don't have a lot of luck with it. I've done it a couple times, but I didn't do anything to try to do this. Obviously, I'm too exhausted to even think about trying to do something. I passed out, and as I'm asleep, I'm aware that I'm asleep, and I'm in my mind, but I'm asleep, and I know that I'm there, and I can see myself, but I also know that I'm asleep. And I know that I have the option to separate from my body if I want to. So I decide to, and then I just hover over my body like a duplicate of myself, and I decide to get up out of my body and fly around the room, and I can see everything, and I'm not scared. I can see him sleeping, I can see me sleeping, and even as I think of it now, I can remember every single detail of that hotel room and exactly how it felt. It was so vividly real to me. Then I flew around the hotel room, and then I flew out the window, and I flew down the side of the building, and I flew around the town. Then I flew and I checked on Scout while she was sleeping in North Carolina. I don't know if she was sleeping at the time, but that's what was happening. And I consciously decided to go back to the room and get back into my body. And I just remember feeling no fear whatsoever. I was not afraid of anything. And it was almost as if I'd never felt fear before. And the next morning, we woke up and we got the hell out of there and we kept going on our trip. But I was so tired that day. I was so tired I wanted to cry because I knew I had to drive like 5 more hours and I didn't know how I was going to do it. I think that the astral travel experience drained every last drop of energy out of my body that it possibly could. But before we left, we did try to recreate the knocking sounds, and there was like a shitty wood wardrobe, like Walmart furniture, and I tapped on that, and it replicated the sound perfectly. So something had to have tapped on that wardrobe. Then we just kept going with our trip, and for my birthday, this past birthday, Randy gave me a present, which was a rock from the haunted forest that he got his friend to sand or whatever and made
He
it shiny.
polished it.
He polished me a rock from the haunted forest that we still have in our room, so maybe we brought some ghosts home with us.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
And that's our haunted story. Hope you like it. Put us on TV.